Play the fucking tunes. Let's go. Let's
Play
go.
the intro. Play the intro. And we're live. We are live. Luke, you couldn't help but chuckle at me during the intro. I think we just got to get it out of the way right now. I am like
get it off your chest, big dog. Get it off your chest.
I am the most down bad version of myself to ever exist, I think, really.
Tell the people what happened, Luke. What happened?
The Miami Dolphins happened, man. The Miami Dolphins, and you know what happened is Luke Bellis happened. All week, I loved the San Francisco 49ers. All week.
You did.
You know, it's a letdown spot for the Dolphins. It's too overwhelming for McDaniel. The Niners are the better team, right? And, you know, people had differing opinions, whatever you want to call it. And then Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and for some reason, I forgot that Jimmy G was the root of all the issues in San Francisco. And I just went, starting quarterback's hurt. The backup broke his ankle in week 2. Mr. Irrelevant's coming in at QB, and the Dolphins are still plus money.
Bro, when you make these decisions, you got to text me.
As Lewis Hamilton's race instructor would say, it was hammer time. It was hammer time. And it was the Dolphins. And it was Tua, and it was Tyreek, and then all of a sudden Tua Tagovailoa turned into Tim Tebow. He couldn't make a throw today. Good.
He couldn't, but he was rattled, bro. You got to text me these things, dude. That's a sucker bet. You could tell, man. Tua was rattled. You got to text me, bro. You got to trust your boy.
I feel like I need to trust my guy because I think my guy's starting to heat up. I feel like
I am. I'm dialed back. The board has now come back to me.
Yeah, we got to get my bad vibes out of the way. You've had quite the day. I've seen the bet slips on Twitter. I've seen the group chats on fire. Let's just talk to the people about what's going on right now.
Okay, so the two big ones. I had a couple very close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Everybody knows that. But I got a big boy rolling in tonight. So I went in this morning. And I'm cooking up. I'm in the lab and I'm cooking, Luke. And I'm like, I got to call Big Mike. For those of you who don't know, Big Mike is my dad. I'm currently in Los Angeles. I'm not allowed to bet. So Big Mike places all the bets. So I call him up. I'm like, listen, this is how it's going to go. I'm like, AJ Brown, I know how the situation is. He was probably going in when he was in Tennessee, talking to the OC, talking to everyone like, get me involved more. Come on, let me loose. Let me out of the cage. They never did. So I guarantee you he went up to Sirianni, talked to Jalen, was like, listen, boys, just give me a shot this week. Put a name in the red zone consistently. And it wasn't even red zone set today, but you knew he was going to get a shot. So I was like, put 2 TDs, AJ Brown. No bigs. Boom. We're going to smack that. And, easy. Luke, you got to look at it, too. Tennessee is very good against the run, so I knew that the Eagles were going to have to sling it around a bit. Boom. Smacked it.
On to the next one.
Jacksonville is sneakily better against the run than what people think. And I also thought that game would be much more of a shootout, but I did figure that the Lions would hang somewhere around 35-40 on them. And they get down there, Goff trusts his guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm like, you got to put 2 in there. Boom, we smacked that. Let's get right. Let's get right, Luke. Oh.
Let's get hot.
And then I was like, okay, this is the one. And I'm catching a lot of heat right now, Luke. You got to hear me out on this. I'm catching a lot of heat online. Everyone's like, yo, boss, cash this out. You're a dumbass. Little do they know. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns. Why? They look terrible. One reason, Tom Brady. Tom Brady has pretty much wiped his nuts on anyone in this league who has crossed him. Anyone. He holds no prisoners. And Lattimore wants to go talk shit to him. A couple weeks back, we all forgot. Mike Evans came, shoved Lattimore in the back, got suspended. We all remember that whole ordeal. Okay, if you think for one minute that Tom has forgotten that, and then when they get down there to the red zone, Tom might even just be like, I don't care what the play call is. line up against Lattimore. Here's your fade ball. The favor will be returned. The favor at least once, and I'm betting for twice, and that's $22 into 11 G's. The sad part was that Zeke only got in once. That was an absolute farce because that would have been $22 into 81,000. But we're not even going to get into that. All I can tell you is I'm back. I'm seeing the board. Let's go. Ask me whatever you want.
$22 into 81,000. If Zeke gets the second touchdown, I would have turned $200 into about $2,500 if Zeke gets that second touchdown, because we got to talk about it. The SGP for Sunday Night Football, we get Tony Pollard rushing yards check. We get the Zeke rushing yards check. And like we talked about it earlier in the week when we were putting it together, right? We thought the Colts would give the Cowboys a game early. The Cowboys would pour it on late. We were bang on with the analysis. We had a blowout. We had a rout. We had a running back scoring 2 touchdowns, and we somehow picked the wrong guy. We picked Zeke to get 2. We could have taken Gallup to get 2. We could have taken Pollard. And did the defense even get 2? Like, it just seemed like...
No, you got down at the end, so yes.
Yeah, so
no,
it's just...
They did get 2, didn't they? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Matt Ryan turned the ball over so many fucking times tonight. I lost track. So, we're seeing it great. Right, that was what 12-1. Yeah, we were a TD away.
Yep.
But that was tough, right? That's just tough. You're seeing the Cowboys get down there early and scoring, and
you nailed it.
And
you nailed it, because it wasn't like, and this is what I think that whoever follows our parlays, it's not like we're just randomly picking bullshit. The way we're trying to like thread these needles, if you are, is like going through a game script. And yeah, we're backing them up with stats. We're going through, how does this play out? And I'm trying to go into the mind of an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. How are we going to attack this game? How are we going to try and shut this down? And the reality was, you said it. We said, hey, this game's probably going to be somewhat close. Jeff Saturday's playing really conservative ball, but in the end, the Cowboys are going to be too much. They're going to be too much for the Colts to handle. And I'm like, also, seeing since the Cool Rush days, the Cowboys' identity is let's run the ball, and then that'll open everything else up. And they got a great 1-2 punch. So we took both the alt lines at 50, which both hit. Very, both of them early had some good yards. And the only difference was it's just unfortunate because they're like, hey, if they get within the 5, Zeke is their guy because he's bigger. I would say going into the 5, it's a toss-up. But what happened on the early drive where Pollard scored was they didn't go to a base formation or a goal line. I shouldn't say base formation, a base personnel or a goal line personnel. They stayed in 11 personnel, I believe, out of the shotgun. So at that point, you put it in there, and Pollard goes and scores. And that's where I was like, damn, you kind of figured, just like we said, enough hits with the sledgehammer, they would crack. The Colts did. And now all of a sudden, everybody was scoring at will. And it was tough because even when Pollard got the first city in the first half, I'm like, yo, Dallas is still going to pour it on. The one that really stung was the fade ball where Zeke was in to Gallup. That really stung because, again, now all of a sudden I'd be on this pod right now talking shit to FanDuel because they'd be offering me like $15K instead of an $81,000 hit on a $22 bet, and we'd be saucing that on the gram. Okay, I'd be like Tom Brady's going to be tomorrow, wiping my nuts on FanDuel Canada. Facts. But instead, we have to sit here and be like, Michael Gallup for 2 DDs? But the good news is we still got time. We're going to smack a single tomorrow. Mike Evans is going to hit 2, so I'll still got $11K. And then next week, don't let us get hot. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm done.
No. You won't like.
Does that make you feel better at all, Luke? Or are you still struggling, man?
It made me feel a little better because you just said don't let us get hot, and I thought back to like the 10 days where you and I were just like hotter than a stick of dynamite. Is a stick of dynamite hot? I don't even know if a stick of dynamite's hot, but it's a stick of dynamite's explosive, and that's what our parlays were that week. We hit, what was it, like an 80-1, 12-1, and like a 8-1 in like a span of like 5 days. So, as I'm scrolling through my FanDuel settled bets, it's nice to think about previous parlays won, and it's nice to think about futures parlays won, and that's what people might want to hear. So you mentioned for Monday night, right? We got an SGP ready to go. You wanna dive into that? You wanna
I'd love to. Real quick. I think the Bucs will win. I don't like the points on this. I don't care about the payout. I think the Bucs will find a way to win. The Saints are, in my opinion, finding a way to lose. Prime time, Tom Brady versus Andy Dalton. I'm taking Bucks money line right off the hop. Boom, we're smacking that. Next thing, you look at the Saints. They scored 0 points against the Niners. The Niners defense is obviously phenomenal, so you got to give them props there. But 0 points, that's a bad day at the office. So
I'll
I think
say.
when that happens, you kind of go back, you reevaluate some shit. What are we doing? Okay, maybe I don't know if simplifies the word, but in a way, it's like let's go back to things we know. And if you're on the Saints team and you're helping out this offense in any capacity, and you score 0 points, you come back in the film room and you say, we have Alvin Kamara on our team. You should never score 0 points when you have Alvin Kamara on your team. Let's get the ball in his hands by any means necessary. So we're going to take 25 yards receiving. Alvin Kamara. And the reason I say that is, one, I think he'll be involved in the pass game or early downs. 2, I also think that when the Saints get down late in the second half, there will be check downs available. And 25 yards for a guy who can break tackles, create some yak, that sort of thing is not much. So we're going to go there. And then to finish this thing off, just 1, not 2. We're not going to get greedy on the single. But again, Mike Evans, he's a while. He's Tom's guy. I promise you Tom will give him a shot tomorrow, especially against Lattimore, so they can get the last laugh. Get the W, score against Lattimore, really kind of set up the division in their favor, point and laugh. That's what I'm rolling with. I think Tom is that guy. I think Tom is got a little bit of pettiness, a healthy amount of pettiness in him, and he's not going to forget that stuff. I love the fight. I love the brawl last time. They'll finish that chapter with a dub and a Mike Evans TD. It's 5-1, and we're going to be back. We're going to be back, and FanDuel Canada is going to be cracked because tomorrow the goal is 2,000 people. I think we had 1,550 bet last Monday with us, and we lost, which is on me. I'll take full responsibility for that. However, we get to 2,000 people. I don't know. Who knows what they bet, but let's just say it's $10. 2,000 people at $10. My math is right. That's $20,000 times that 5-1. That's $100,000 we're taking right out of FanDuel, and we're going to keep rolling after that. So that's the plan. The Army is going to get together tomorrow, and we're going to bet this single, and we're going to take $100,000 from FanDuel. Fans, that's the plan, baby. Let's get it right.
It's a simple plan. We're just trying to bankrupt
plan,
FanDuel.
Just like the Canadian band.
Shout out Simple Plan. And so, okay,
I think that was a Canadian band.
Producer Alec can look into it. We can circle back to that later if needed. You were talking about the Bucks there, right? And Brady, spiteful, revengeful kind of guy. We've done a really good job of giving the Bucks a lot of bulletin board material. Brady's 45 years old, so I assume Simple Plan's from Quebec. Producer Alec points out. Thank you, Alec. Tom Brady's 45 years old. I'll assume he still uses bulletin boards, right? So we've given him a lot of bulletin board material writing off this team super early in the year. I was looking at the Super Bowl odds on FanDuel Sportsbook Canada the other day. Shout out FanDuel. And the Bucks were sitting around 25-1 to win the Super Bowl. You look at the NFC, there's not a ton of winning experience when it comes to quarterbacks. Tom Brady's going to be by far the most experienced, the winningest quarterback he's in terms of like any playoff matchup. And they're probably going to win that division. They're going to get a home playoff game. Seattle Seahawks know a little bit about, the winning a division with a below 500 record and stunning a team in the first round. I just feel like have we written off this Bucks team too soon? Do you think they can make any noise this late in the season? Do you think they can still kind of turn it around? Contend for a Super Bowl? Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but can they turn it around? Dude, I understand that Tom is older, but one thing that I don't think has gone away has been his arm strength. I mean, this guy's still slinging the ball around, and he looks good throwing it. The thing that's been strange about it has been, I don't know if the continuity, the fluidity, the timing, all of those things I've seen it's kind of gone by the wayside for this Bucks team this year. It has not been the actual physical talent. And now all of a sudden, I think you saw Julio Jones a couple weeks back catch a few balls. To me, it's a big ordeal if they can get a really good number 3. because Tom's never really been a guy who just likes to target one guy. You think of him back in the day, and it was like when he was playing New England, yeah, he had his Welker, and then came Edelman, Danny Amendola in there. But like outside of the year of Randy Moss, he was slinging it to everybody. Gronk, I mean, RIP, but Hernandez, like it didn't matter. I'm trying to think of was it Dante Stallworth back in the day? Does that sound right? I think it was. That might be a little bit before your time.
That might
Okay,
be.
I'm a little older than you, Luke. Yeah, but he's slinging it. So to me, it's like he likes that. So it's like if he can have, okay, you got Mike Evans, you've got your Chris Godwin, you got Julio that he really trusts. I think the Cade Otton kid he's developing some trust with. Cam Brate's coming back. But the really will make this team tough is if they can actually establish a consistent run game. And it doesn't even have to be a dominant run game. Just a run game that they can go out and be like, hey, we're not going to get a TFL. It's not going to be 2nd and 9 or 10 every single time.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden, a lot of the stuff Tom likes to do is, okay, boom, play action, slap someone over the middle of the field. Boom, play action, like just the little hesitation. That's when I think he's really in his bag, is when he can just kind of, okay, what are they doing here? When he struggles, okay, which it's not really, Tom Brady struggling is a different relative term, is when there's no run game. Defenses are pinning their ears back, the defensive line, getting in his face, making him uncomfortable. He's not the mobile guy. And now all of a sudden everything's off. So if they get a run game with the talent they have, do I think they're going to win the NFC? No, but I think they can compete or at least be there. They definitely have the potential. And like you said, home playoff game.
It's funny because if to do it at this point, it's week 13. I feel like we can start looking at standings and stuff. If the season ended today, the Bucs would host a playoff game against a Dallas Cowboys team that, as good as they've looked, their season ended last year on a quarterback draw with no timeouts as the clock ran out and they couldn't spot a ball. Say they win that game. They then go to Philly to play Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, a good quarterback coach duo, but have never done it in the playoffs before. Kirk Cousins, it's just what do you make of the Niners all of a sudden? It just feels like there might just be this little crack opening for Tom Brady to just kind of whittle his way to another Super Bowl appearance. And as a 25-year-old Indianapolis Colts fan, I think I would rather watch the Dolphins lose to the 49ers 100 times again today before I would rather watch Tom Brady make another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll get over the Tom Brady thing. What's tough for me, you say as a Colts fan. For me, what was tough, and I love Tom. I don't know him personally, but I actually do like the guy. But what's tough when it comes to that narrative was when we lost to them in the second Super Bowl. We get down to the half-yard line. And a little quick note, in the Super Bowl, when you win, you're allowed 2 people on the field. Ooh. And we got down to the half-yard line. And I literally thought, I'm standing on the field. Marshawn gets tackled a foot away from me. And I thought in my head, my parents are probably getting ushered out of their seats right now. Okay. Round 2. They were on the field last year. They're coming down. We all know how that happened. But what was tough about the whole Tom situation was that the next day, when I'm just absolutely depressed, there's such an empty feeling after that one. All the newspaper articles were like, Tom does it again. Tom. And I'm not trying to take anything away because the guy's the greatest football player ever. But I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck, dude? We threw an interception on the half-yard line. Okay? We have Marshawn Lynch and we threw an interception on the half-yard line. How on fucking God's green earth is this a Tom Brady thing? Like even you look at the videos, he was like, holy shit, jumping up and down on the sideline. I couldn't believe it. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Tom. And I'm going to say this again, the guy's the best football player of all time. So it is a bit of a hard narrative though, for me, this whole Tom Brady thing. That being said, you bring up a great point, Luke. What did you say about the Eagles in their just say what you said about the Eagles, and I'd like to say something about this.
Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, right? Good head coach, quarterback duo. Not a ton of playoff experience, not a ton of experience in crunch time, having to win tight games like that. You clearly want to make a point here, so go ahead.
Yeah, I am on all year on TSN. I've been a big Eagles guy. I think this team is dynamite. I think they're incredible. I think they're one of the most well-constructed teams we've seen in a very, very long time on both
Fly
sides of the
Eagles
ball.
fly. Fly Eagles
Fly,
fly.
Eagles, fly. It's very hard to poke a weakness in this team. They really can do everything on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. I saw the first weakness has kind of developed the last little bit. And to me, it's not controlling your emotions, not from a player standpoint. When they beat the Colts in Lucas Oil, tough game on the road, got it done. And Nick Sirianni went up and said that was for Frank Reich. And I know it's his boy, to some fans. I thought it was a bit bizarre. And what worries me is if you're that emotional about that situation, what's going to happen when you host Tom Brady in the second round? What's going to – and emotions can help you win in this league. But, I think one of the guys I learned from when it came to this was Pete Carroll. And Pete would never try and make anything super big. Everything was big. Everything was big, and that was it. It wasn't like, oh, my God, we got to go because we got to go crazy hard because we're playing the Niners. It's a rival game. No, Luke. This is the NFL, bro. This ain't you and me growing up in Ontario playing our crosstown rivals in hockey who we got to see it the next morning in the elementary school. And they wrote on a forum that I stink. Okay. This ain't that, bro. That's happened to me. Maybe that's happened to me. Okay. This ain't that, though. You got to control your emotions. Come out and execute. And it's like when I said, I'm like, you can't have a head coach riding that kind of emotional roller coaster, in my opinion. So that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that you've said to me before about Pete Carroll. I don't exactly remember what you said, but he was like, he gets emotional, but he shows emotion, but doesn't let his emotions take over, something like that. Like
Yes.
it just
dictate a game, dictate decisions.
It drove the
he
point
always
home
preached,
of
yes.
Go ahead.
He always said every game is a championship game, Luke. Every game. I don't give a damn who you're playing. And it's like, I say this all the time, but when we showed up to New York, I was nervous as shit. I'm a fucking rookie, man. We get off the plane, okay? We get to New York for the first Super Bowl. We're playing the Denver Broncos. Your guy, Peyton Manning.
That's my guy.
They have the best offense in the history of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the first thing he did was wheel in a basketball net to our meeting room and was like, I want this to be the exact same thing that we do at because that's we would always shoot hoops before meetings. And he's like, we're going to run the same thing. He goes, boys, I don't care that we're in New York. I don't care that we're in the Giants facility. He's like, we're going to treat this like it's every other week. We are good enough to win if we do what we do. If we come out and execute and do what we've done all year long, we will win this game. And we're going to treat it just like that. 43-8, baby. Smack them boys. Got them.
Okay, let's do. I want to do a Super Bowl tangent just for a second. Let's talk about the one, and then maybe a little bit down the line when I feel more comfortable asking you questions about the other Super Bowl, I will. But what was that locker room like at the half? You guys are up big. The Denver Super Bowl.
Yeah. 21. I think it was 21-0. Might have been 21-3.
It was something like that. You guys are getting the ball to start the second half. What's the vibe like? Is there some fear that if there that this offense can still clip you guys, or you guys are like, we got this in the bag?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you my personal thoughts, and I'm going to tell you what everyone else's personal thoughts were. Everybody on the defense was like, we're going to kill this team for the rest of this game. 22-0 to half. Thank you, Alec. So our defense operated differently. I sent you a clip the other day, but that Legion of Boom, you had KJ and Bobby right at the two inside backers. The D-line was stacked. We won't get into that right now, but that defense was a generation defense. I think it's in the conversation for top 10 defenses of all time. Of all time. I mean, the stats can back that up.
Yeah.
So that defense, the way they operated mentally, the way they operated physically, I don't think there was any worry in their head. For me, as a stupid rookie who played offense, I remember sitting there thinking vividly in the halftime locker room, and you have the longer break, right? Because of the halftime show. So I think it's an extra 20 minutes. And
who was your halftime show?
I couldn't tell you. Honestly, this was not an Evan McPherson situation. I was not thinking about that.
I like it.
I'm telling, and the thing about it was for me that year, you're gonna laugh at this, but I was one of the few rookies that played. Like I was not our starter, Zach Miller was, but I had a decent role in that offense depending on the game. But I was our second string guy, and we did a lot of two. I mean, we were a run first team. We did a lot of two tight end stuff. So the reality was, I found early in that year, every time something went poorly on offense, I naturally got fucking blamed. I'm like, bro, I'm not even on the field. And then, God dang it, it must have been Luke. I'm like, bro, I'm not even on the field for this one. Okay, but I was like one of two rookies that actually played, and the other guys were O linemen that were kind of in and out based on injuries. So I'm like, bro, quit blaming me, okay? Because shit rolls downhill, and when you have a veteran team, you love to blame the rookie, and I probably deserve it. I'm not saying that, but anyways, back to the halftime. So it's and I did think, Luke, hey, we have the best defense in the generation, but we also are facing the legitimate best offense of all time. You know, I think Peyton that year has almost every stat known to mankind. So I'm like, if there's a team that might be able to somehow do it, it's got to be them. And we got to come out and we got to lock it in. We got to run the ball. We got to methodically move the ball, chew up this clock, and win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's right there. You can taste it. And then when we came out at the half, Percy Harvin scored that shit. I remember, I mean, I'm smiling right now because I remember I was not on kick return that year. And I remember I was early, maybe, I don't know, but I wasn't that game. And I remember sitting there and like chills kind of like went down my like body. Because at that point, it's now 29 when we kicked it 29-0. And I looked over at Denver's sideline. You can tell they're deflated. Damn, this one's done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, bro. I'm 23. I just turned 24. I'm about to win the fucking Super Bowl, big dog. Hey, that shit was tight, bro. I was amped. So that was the moment. It was after halftime where I'm like, it was a combination of Percy scoring, the energy on our sideline, and just the quick glance across the field and seeing all of them and being like, there's no way. And I was like, we got him. And we choked him out after that.
Yeah, I was like, how bliss was that second half of football? You were winning the Super Bowl. You were gonna win the Super Bowl. There was never a doubt about it at that point. You're just going out there and just watching the clock tick away and waiting until the after party in Vegas, I bet.
Yeah, I did go to Vegas, but I went the next weekend. I can tell you that in a sec. I can tell you this will be one I think you'll enjoy. Speaking of gambling, and yeah, it was kind of a surreal moment. You know, it was real second half of football. You're just out there, and it was in New York too. So even though maybe MetLife isn't known as like a holy sanctuary of football, just being like kind of, I guess MetLife's in New Jersey, but called a New York Super Bowl. But just kind of being in that, like, man, you're the biggest city in the world. You just were a part of a team that beat the living shit out of the best offense in the history of football. You know, it's just a privilege to be a part of that whole process. And it was cool. Like one of my favorite moments was after the game, one of my boys, his name is Mario, had brought a Canadian flag. And he was still in the stands, and we're all the confetti's everywhere. Strahan brings the trophy by. My dad's on the field. Okay, he's all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, my mom's down there. And I go say what's up to my boys. You know, my boy Mark, who might be overseeing this pod, was also there. He knows. And my boy Mario throws me this flag. And when he's going to throw it, he like crunches it up. And I'm like, there's no way. It's 20 yards away. Like, this thing's going to float 3 yards. I kid you not, Nolan Ryan fastball struck me right in the chest. I'm like, bro, how did he do that? How did he do that? I have no idea. But then it was like, I had a couple of photos with the flag on the back. Like, it meant a lot to me, man. It did. Personally, I mean, coming from LaSalle, Ontario, you know, the kind of journey through Rice had a lot of adversity, and be a part of that team, you know, playing, contributing in a couple different ways. And be on that stage was pretty special. It was special for me, man.
I can only imagine, just like, you know, like you said, because I know we've talked at times, and I think you told me it was like your third year in college when it kind of set in that, you know, playing in the NFL was a real possibility. I believe is when your name came up in like the John Mackey Award conversations and stuff like that. Sure. So then,
yeah.
Former Colts
John
legend.
Mackey, there's a Colt. Oh.
And so to be like only 2 years removed from making that realization, to be standing there with your +2 when the Super Bowl is done, with a Canadian flag, like it's pretty sweet. It's
There
oh,
it is.
well,
There
here
it
he
is.
is.
See? And
There
believe
he
it or
is.
not, that's in the lady in the background with the big smile and the camera, not with the actual camera, not the phone.
Yeah.
That's my mom right there.
No
And the
way.
guy beside him is Big Mike. You can't see his face, but that's Big Mike right there. He's the one cracking FanDuel Canada right now. Even Mark puts in surreal moment for the fellas. It was an epic moment. It was that's the young Luke right there.
That's too good. That's too good. That's all time.
Yeah,
That's all
that
time
is
right
all
there.
time. Now,
And
you
go
asked
ahead.
about Vegas, though, Luke.
Yes.
So, kind of piggybacking on what I said earlier, was when you get drafted and you play on a veteran team that eventually wins the Super Bowl. And it was known, like when we went into the offseason, Michael Robinson, who's now an incredible analyst, was our fullback in a Team Canada. Team Canada, our fullback and our team captain. Okay, one of. And he gave a speech in the offseason where he was like, listen, boys, we lost to Atlanta last year on some bullshit late. I'm going to be blunt. Like, if we don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a bust. That was what the intention was set in April. Okay. And now all of a sudden you got this team full of veterans. Like everyone wants to talk about Russ and Cam and Sherm, and they should. Our O-line, you think of Max Unger, I think of Breno Giacomini. You know what I'm saying? I think of those Russell Okung. Like these are, you know what I'm saying? These guys, you got to be a football guy. I think of Red Bryant, Clinton McDonald, Michael Robinson. And those are some of the kind of heart and soul of this team. We'll have to get producer Alex to throw some of these picks up later. Those are some good names. Brandon Meebane, we'll throw him up. Brandon Meebane for sure.
Those are football players right there. Those are football names. If I've ever heard football players, sometimes you just hear a name and it's like, yeah, that's a football player. That's that is as football gets. So go
no question.
On. Let me hear this story.
But I'm the stupid rookie, man, and I understand that. As I should be. I'm the stupid rookie, and I just said I was not terrified in a way that I couldn't play, oh my God, I'm freaking out. But I was very aware that if anything came down to a 50-50 mistake between me and an offensive tackle, let's say there's a situation where we have a combo block and maybe it's his fault, maybe it's mine. It's my fault because I'm a dumbass rookie. It's always going to be my fault. And that's how the league works. Well, the league works like that off the field as well. Okay. Meaning that if I go to this Vegas party and somehow there's a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 bill, guess who's getting stuck with that? The stupid rookie who just made $90K. And the justification of it is that, listen, you dumbass rookie, just got you a Super Bowl. So you're not going to say shit about picking up this tab because we all know you just made more than that in the Super Bowl. So what did I do? I didn't go. I went the next weekend with a couple of my buddies.
No way.
That's what I did.
There's no way. You didn't want to get you didn't want to get left with the tab, eh? I don't blame you.
A rookie went. Just to let you know, and I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to promote this podcast by dropping names in this pod, but a rookie did go. And I saw him next April. And he told me not yet. And he told me the amount of money that he spent gambling, supplying booze to the party, and stuck for the tab. And I almost puked in April. So let's just say back-to-back wins, baby. Back-to-back Super Bowl into not going to Vegas right off the bat. When you're hot, you're hot. Just like we're about to be gambling this weekend.
When you're hot, you're hot. Just like the Cincinnati Bengals. Just like the Cincinnati Bengals, anytime that they play this Kansas City Chiefs team, that's another thing that I just kind of swung and miss on. I fully just bought into the Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to lose three straight times to a team. He's going to grab Travis Kelce and he's going to go win this game. But it just seems like that this Bengals team just kind of has the Chiefs number, and I feel like that's something that you should be able to speak to there. I feel like there's just certain teams that match up better with others, and this Bengals Chiefs thing, this is three straight times, and it's the same kind of formula all three times.
Yeah, look, I'm going to ask you a question on this because sometimes, even now that I'm getting into the analyst work, I've just got to admit when I'm just cold on something.
Yep.
And I'm just very, very cold on this Bengals team. And I don't mean cold like I don't think they're good. But, I've been around football for a long time. And I studied the game pretty hard when I was playing. I did. How the fuck are the goddamn Bengals this good? Okay, and how did they go to the Super Bowl last year? Their offensive line stinks. Now they're playing better, but they stink. They don't have a dominant run game. It's okay. It's not bad, but it's not something like, oh God. Their defense is not incredible. They're good. I mean, they've won 4 in a row. They're probably, maybe not. If Lamar's out for a while, they've got a very good chance of winning the division.
Yeah.
They're going to have a home playoff game. And I think they compete with Buffalo and Kansas City. And I don't really know how. I mean, I do, but I don't even want to admit it. I don't want to admit it, Luke.
Well, what don't you want to admit?
I am a sucker, and this is part of the reason I signed with Detroit for the 1 year. I am a sucker, and anyone who listens to TSN will hear me, for fundamental football. Okay. I think that there is a way to win in this league that is almost foolproof. I also think that...
I'm sorry. Did you sign with
Yes.
the Detroit Lions to teach them the
No,
fundamentals of football? Or
No, Matt Patricia was there, and I thought he was going to implement this style of football.
Huh.
Okay, it didn't happen. We can talk about that. Whenever
Go
you
on.
want. I'm going to
Yeah.
get salty. But anyways, I think that this Bengals team wins not because of their X's and O's, but simply because of their Johnnies and Joes.
Yeah.
I think that they have captured explosive football, and they can seemingly sling it with everybody. They can run the ball enough to keep everybody honest, and they can somehow take the ball away. I think, in the NFL, they call explosive plays runs that are 12 plus and passes that are 16 plus. And I want to say Jamar Chase leads the NFL in 16 plus passes. And all the stats guys come, they're like, if you have an explosive play on a drive, the scoring percentage goes up astronomically. And then it's like, if you have 2, it's even crazier. There's all these numbers that used to feed us when we were playing.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a fact to that. But to me, I'm a sucker for we play very sound football. We don't turn the ball over. We just methodically move the ball down the field. Then we take our shot. When it's Cincinnati just seems to just randomly find a way. One time it's kind of run the ball. One time Jamar Chase is 120. The next time, Joe Burrow ran one in today. It's they're gamers, man. They're gamers.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to call.
Yeah, I mean, you asked how did they make that run of the Super Bowl last year? It just seems like they caught lightning in a bottle, and it seems like they have some sort of weird answer for the Chiefs, right? I mean, you can go back to the championship game last year. The Chiefs had a chance to take points right before the end of the half. They go for it. Tyreek Hill gets tackled in an open field by Eli Apple of all people, and then from there, the Chiefs didn't score a point in the second half. They lose that game. The Bengals go to the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs probably beat the Rams in the Super Bowl last year. That's an entirely different conversation. I think everything lined up perfectly for Matt Stafford in LA to win that Super Bowl last year, and their fall from grace this year has been
big bad.
Just big bad. Just
big bad, bro.
Fucking what's his name? And they had a weird offseason, right? McVay almost went into broadcasting. Donald almost retired. Now Kupp and Stafford are done. And they don't have picks. They kind of just feel like they're just kind of floating in no man's land at the moment. Which really I'm sure you hate to see. I'm sure you just hate to see it.
Heart.
Yeah.
What is tough, there is a moment, I think, in athletes' lives, not all of them, but especially, the talk about Aaron Donald's going to Aaron Donald. I don't know Aaron. I've played against him a lot. Dude's an absolute menace on the field. I mean, really respect the hell out of his game. Plays very, very hard. It's not just that he's talented. He plays very hard. And when they won the Super Bowl last year, it's he's thinking about retiring, right? We all heard that chat. But it's tough when it's you're Aaron Donald, all right? You got a lot of money. I would have been smart with this cash, signed a big ticket, as he deserved every penny of it. He seemingly has literally transformed the position. You know, everybody's trying to search for another Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
And then the final kind of like cherry on top of this career is winning the Super Bowl. So it's tough when it's like, what else does Aaron Donald need to chase? He's been the best D tackle in the league. He's all pro. He's got a ring. He's got cash. I don't know anything about his personal life, so I'm not going to get into that. But it's like, and there's a toll there's a toll that this game takes on your body and on your mind. So everyone's like, oh, how can you think about retiring? I'm like, I get it. And then all of a sudden you spend half the offseason thinking about retiring. Are you training as hard? Are you as dedicated? I don't know. I'm not Aaron Donald, and I'm just using Aaron as an example. Could be anyone on this Rams team. And even guys that aren't Aaron Donald. I did not to the same degree because I had a lot of aspirations that I didn't meet as with regards to Pro Bowls and things like that and multi-fucking gajillion-dollar contracts. But there was a time in my life where I was like, hey, man, I'm pushing year 7 now. I'm getting bounced around a little bit. I feel like I've been pigeonholed. It's a little unfair. I don't got shit to prove to nobody. I came from LaSalle. I'm 7 years deep in the game. I've got some guap. I got a ring. Like, is making a Pro Bowl really going to make me feel better than how I already feel? So then all of a sudden you kind of look for the right situation. Well, okay, let's try and get on a team where they're going to win. The coach is a good coach. We're working towards a goal. We're trying to build something. So I get where it's like, Aaron Donald, I get why he might want to retire. Same thing with McVay. Maybe the environment there, they don't like the GM or they don't like whatever. They don't like living in LA. It's like, dude, we did what we needed to do here. So I get how there's that kind of drag, if you will, to this Rams team. I think they're going to be struggling for a few years in that division too. That division's not going to get any weaker.
No, I even wonder with Stafford, right? Like, you go through everything you went through in Detroit. You beat up your body. You lay it on the line for all those years. You finally get out. You go to LA for 1 year. You win the Super Bowl. It feels like the ultimate opportunity to kind of put your feet up a little bit and not ride into the sunset, but ride into the sunset.
Facts. I mean, dude, here's my Matt Stafford thing. And I'll say I played with the guy for a year. Okay. I grew up a diehard Lions fan. Diehard. I mean, I remember being a kid Sunday morning, sitting on the couch in LaSalle, Ontario, waiting for Herman Moore, Barry Sanders.
Restore the roar.
Restore the roar, baby. Scott Mitchell was the quarterback. Then it became Charlie Batch, then Joey Harrington. You name him, I was that kid. Deep on the roster when I'm like 10. Okay. And nobody before Matt Stafford could stick around in Detroit. Not because they weren't good enough, because the organization stunk. They had no coaches. They had no support. They had no anything. You look at the Browns. The Browns were, I would say, kind of 1A and 1B when it comes to what not to do with them and the Lions. And everyone's seen the meme of the guy with all the different quarterbacks. The Lions were somewhat of the same way. I mean, their first-round picks just never seemed to pan out. I mean, it was big bad. And when guys got to free agency, they got out of there. And the two guys, other than Matt, that were generational talents, retired early because they couldn't fucking send it. Barry Sanders and Megatron. I mean, these are two of the best players to ever touch a football.
Yeah.
Think about that shit.
I've never been able to wrap my head around an organization being so, I'll choose my words carefully, not run well enough that two of the best players to just like ever play the sport were like, you know what, I'm just going to quit. Like, don't even trade me.
I remember, yes, Luke, I was a kid. I was a kid when Barry did it. I had the Barry Nike shoes. The only thing I wanted for Christmas. Okay, I dressed up as a guy for Halloween. And I remember being the most confused kid on planet Earth. Like, what? 6 weeks into me playing for Detroit under Matt Patricia, I remember sitting in that goddamn auditorium in Allen Park thinking, oh, damn, bro, I know exactly why Barry Sanders left this shit. I can't believe he didn't leave earlier. I mean, it's just a fact, bro. There was no hope. We had no hope. We had no hope.
I want to pull up this team real
That's
quick. You
why,
keep
going back to
talking.
Matty Stafford, this man played, 9 years there? Made that organization, that team competitive. They lost a playoff game to us in Seattle. Strangest game I've ever played in. Post game, not actually on the game. This is God's honest truth. There might be some people who get mad at me for this one. But Luke, in my 8-year career, a lot of playoff appearances. I think over 100 games played, and I think probably another 10, 15 in the playoffs. I don't know the exact stats. I don't know if there's another game that sticks out to me than the Lions playoff loss to us at CenturyLink. This might have been 2017, 2016, somewhere in there. Because after the game, it was the only time in my life that I have played a football game and the other team was relieved after they lost. Nobody said shit to me. But I remember going around, you're always like dapping everybody up. And like when we lost, like, dude, the year we lost to Carolina, I was in shambles after the game. This was my third year. The fourth year we lose to Atlanta in the divisional round, the year that Atlanta blew it. I was water-eyed, teary in the locker room. Like, I thought this was a year we were going to go back and win a Super Bowl. Now I'm going to free agency, blah, blah, blah. Like, my heart was ripped out of my body. We beat the goddamn Lions in the playoffs. Those boys are smiling ear to ear afterwards. And you can tell, like, bro, hell's over. I'm going home. I'm out of Detroit in 3 days. I'll never get that. Bro.
That
on CenturyLink.
that is,
swear to God.
So I snuck in a single A hockey reference last week. I'm going to sneak in another this week. I'm going to see how many I can sneak in. So that's really funny to me that you had that experience with Detroit Lions players. And when I was 16 years old, my single A hockey team we won our first round matchup in an elimination game in overtime. And in the handshake lines, I went to high school with a couple of the guys. My buddy shook my hand. He was like, dude, I'm really glad you guys won. Cause like my baseball team's supposed to go on spring training in a week. And now I can go. If we made the second round, I wasn't able to go. So the fact that 16-year-old single A hockey players in Ontario are experiencing the same, get me the fuck out of here, I want to go do literally anything else, as Detroit Lions players, yes. I can see why you maybe got 6 weeks in and started pulling out that.
It was a respectable game too, just like it sounds like your single A game was. It was so it's not like we got blown out and you can just embarrass us. I think we did win somewhat handedly, maybe by 10. I'm not sure the exact score. I'm sure producer can let us know here in a sec. But it was close for most of the game. And so yeah, they didn't look like the Colts. They didn't lose 53 to whatever the score was today, 19. So they felt good. They were happy. They probably had their exit checklist on Monday. And Tuesday, they all have a flight out of town, baby. Or Cabo, one of the two.
Can you do me a favor? I know you're big on visualization. So can you just do me a favor? Close your eyes. I want you to think of a scenario, and then I just want you to take me to where your emotions go there. It's 5 years from now, and the Detroit Lions have just won the Super Bowl. Where does that take you? Who are you? Are you calling Big Mike? Are you celebrating this with Big Mike? Is this something? No. Are you watching the game with your childhood boys? Like what is? Are you still in on the Detroit Lions, or are you fully out after your experience there? Or is the childhood fan still in it for you?
Okay, I'm trying to think of how exactly I'm gonna. This is a good question, Luke. Great question, my guy.
Because I can stall a little bit while you think, because my mind goes to that old Cubs commercial where the guy's cutting his beard because they haven't won a championship in 100 fucking years. So I just wonder what would that do to you?
I'm gonna be very blunt. We can chat after. Maybe Alec, we can chat after. But I'm gonna keep it really real. I fucking loathe the Detroitans. I can't fucking stand them. Okay. I cannot stand them. And I want to say, as I say that there's a lot of people in the organization that I love. Okay. So there's a lot of people like the equipment staff there all time individuals, human beings, some of the best at their job. So I don't want that to come off as like, I hate everybody and every single person that I experience in Detroit, because that's definitely not true. But a lot of things happened that year in Detroit that I'm sure as this podcast grows, we'll get into, that were just so fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. And we weren't that bad. Like we went 6-10. And it just made me scratch my head. And as a competitor, I blame myself for every negative thing that happened in my career. It is my fault. And it is. But I certainly was not helped, by anyone in that building when it comes to a coach or when it comes to, coaches or a situation. So it's my fault. But usually, like in Seattle, they cultivate an environment for you to be better. Where in Detroit, not only is it tough to get better every single day because of it's the NFL. It's not tough to get better every day, but to maximize every day. But they made it harder from top to bottom, from the way the schedule is set up, the way the practices were run, the way people approached you, the way the film room was set up. Every single part of the football aspect of Detroit made it more difficult, which it was a very, very tough pill for me to swallow. And then when I realized midway through the season that we weren't actually trying to win, made it even more difficult. And it's funny because I don't tell too many people this, but I actually turned down a 3-year deal to go to Carolina for a lot more money. Okay. I was sitting on my driveway in LaSalle, Ontario, and I called my agent because I had a 3-year deal to go to Carolina or 1 year to go to Detroit. Okay. In Carolina, I had Greg Olson. So in my head, I'm like, listen, I was a starting tight end in the NFL on a team that lost Super Bowl on the half-yard line. We trade for Jimmy Graham, OG, the homie. Shout out Jimmy Graham. I now become a second-string tight end that really did a lot of the grunt work for that offense for 3 years. Now, Jimmy hurt for a bit, so I was kind of in and out, starting quite a bit. But I was like, dude, I don't want to go to Carolina and still be a backup. I got to go and ball out. Well, went to Detroit. Thought I was blatantly lied to on what the plan was for the year. And Greg Olson broke his foot and didn't play 2 games that season, I think. So, great decision by me. Again, my fault. But that's why it's tough when, if Detroit won a Super Bowl, I would feel like I got punched in the stomach. That's the truth about that. And it's tough because I was I bleeded Honolulu blue and silver when I was a youngster. Bleeded.
Yeah, you said you dressed up as Barry Sanders for Halloween. I was too worried to ask if it was like a problematic, went the full 9 yards, or if there was no makeup that went with the costume. But I chose not to ask that question.
I was like worried. 7 or 8, so don't worry. It was very politically correct. I think I was wearing baseball pants as my football pants.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Halloween as a kid was like some of the better days there were just to be a kid. With like elementary school, there was like a dance-a-thon. You were selling chocolates. You were in costume or something like that. It was the best. Halloween was just too good growing up. But you want to play a little game? I want to maybe try something new here. We just went through a full NFL Sunday. Oh,
there's me and my sister, bro.
Look at this. No way.
Bro, you thought I was kidding, man. Nobody liked the Lions more than me. And now I'm not sure if anybody hates the Lions more than me. But we can get more into that as the podcast grows.
That's what it seems. How did we get this picture so quickly? How did that happen?
Dude, producer Alex is goated.
This guy doesn't sleep. This guy. So I'm gonna give you a game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a game from or a matchup from this past week, and I want a sentence or less. I want to see.
Okay,
I want to see if we can just chop it up and just see, and just any takeaways, anything that comes to mind. If you hate it, just tell me. Just say I don't give a fuck. We can skip it. Steelers Falcons. Anything? The Falcons are kind of dead.
Yeah, it turned out exactly how we thought it would. Exactly how we thought it would. Steelers took care of business. It was a very bad matchup for Atlanta. Tough for them to win with how they play and what Pittsburgh's good at.
Ravens Broncos.
Oh God, one sentence for this?
We can expand it a little.
Let's do a couple.
Yeah.
There's going to be a mutiny in Denver soon. I mean, there's going to be a mutiny in there. That was every week. It's a new low with that offense. Very tough. Very, very tough. And I'm just going to get into it. I don't care that it's a sentence game, bro. But now we're talking about there's guys that are losing millions playing in that offense. Millions.
Yeah.
When you're that bad and you're a skill guy in that offense who is probably pretty good, and that's how dysfunctional. I'm not blaming this all on Russ. It's a combination of a million things here. But there's guys losing millions of dollars playing for that team right now. Also, trouble in paradise for the Ravens, baby.
Yeah.
This offense is supposed to be a strong point of this team, and they're winning despite it right now. So the sentence is trouble in paradise times 2.
Yeah, and Lamar, whatever happened today, I'm just hoping he's back for the playoffs at least. Packers, Bears. Packer back?
Packers aren't back, but Aaron Rodgers owns Chicago. He does. It's just a fact. He owns it. He's a part owner of the Bears.
It's too good. It's the entire fan base in Green Bay owns the team. Their quarterback owns a different team. It's pretty awesome how that works. Like
it really is.
Your favorite team, Lions 40, Jags 14.
Yeah, they did well today. I mean, they're doing what the Lions do. They're gonna miss the playoffs. They're gonna not get a good draft pick, and then next year they'll probably go 2-15. But on paper, they're very, very good. On paper, they're very good. I will say that.
On paper, they're fun. On paper, it's a very fun offense.
Fun.
Just we got something loaned up.
We're back. We're back. There it is. He's back.
The Halloween picture's back.
Yes.
Next game, Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans.
Oh wow.
I'm happy. I'm gonna hit the next button.
The fact that Deshaun Watson is allowed to play right now is disgusting. And I can't stand it. I can't stand talking about the whole situation online, on TSN. And the thing that I loved today was Brissett ran this offense way better than him. And obviously he's got some rust. But the reality is he's going to have a very, very short leash. Not only because of what he did off the field or but because of the amount of money he's being paid. And you've got a guy like, hear me out on this. Hear me out on this, Luke.
Yeah, let's get into this.
When I say short leash, I mean not like they're going to pull him next game, but let's go to the Broncos situation with Russ. Russ was in a situation where the issue was quarterback play before Russ. And everyone was like, Denver's got a great defense. They get a quarterback that won a Super Bowl. They get a quarterback that won a Super Bowl. Okay, we got Russ. Obviously, it's not working out at the moment, but Brissett was not the issue with this team. The guy played very, very good football. I'm not saying he was an all-pro, but you cannot tell me Brissett was like, here's a question. Would you rather have Brissett or Jimmy G? I'm taking Brissett all day. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, hey, you got to understand. Okay. Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback that came in when Andrew Luck retired on a week before the season started in Indy. So Jacoby Brissett's got a nice, warm, fuzzy place in my heart. I adore that man, and I would take him over Jimmy G any day of the week.
Okay,
good. There's just a Niners fan that I know that I'm gonna get a very loud text from about that, but I'll deal with that later.
That's fair. Niners fans stink, anyways. So
I like
anyway,
him.
But yeah, okay. To each his own. But dude, so you've got a guy who's got a lot of off the field allegations.
Yeah.
He's got a huge contract that I don't know if anyone in the NFL other than the Browns would have paid that amount of money for him. And he's got to play like that. He's got to come out and play like he's a $40 million quarterback week in, week out. And the fact that he has all this stuff off the field, that's what I mean by he has a shorter leash. And the fact that Jacoby Brissett was, in my opinion, an above average, I'm going to use my adjectives carefully, an above average quarterback in this league for the Browns, that puts even more pressure for him to play exceptionally well. That's my comment on that game.
I guess Deshaun will benefit from the fact that like the games at this point kind of don't matter for Cleveland. Like they're pretty much out of it.
Yeah.
So he can
Yes, they
spend the
are.
next 6 weeks knocking off rust and come back next year the piece of shit that he is. Next game, Minnesota Vikings 27, New York Jets 22. I'll start here. Mike
Yeah, you
White.
start with this.
Mike
Mike
White.
White. Mike
It
White.
was
For
Mike.
those of you who don't know, I'm going to brag on my guy, Luke Bellis here. He's a GOAT, man. Gambling GOAT. I know he was sad to start the pod today, but at his company, they put together a list of best bets. This man had Mike White plus 300. And this is what I appreciate. I just want to brag on you a bit, Luke. This is what I appreciate about you in the best bets is I'll read the best bets every week. And there's 5 others other than you.
Thank you for reading.
And the others will have good bets, but somewhat I don't want to call them stereotypical bets, but nothing like too out of the ordinary, shall I say. And then every week it's like Luke Bellis, Mike White with a fucking 300-yard alt line. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. This guy's cooking. And sure as shit, your squad went 1-5 today, and the only fucking one that hit was you with a Mike White plus 300 fucking throwing yards. So shout out for you. You got big balls, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know literally, figuratively speak.
well, we won't speak on the first thing there, but yeah, I don't know. It's like with the best bets, I'm just trying to look for somewhere to yeah, belly big balls. Mark just said in the chat. My mother is going to have a fit. And I've completely lost my train of thought. You got me so rattled right now with belly big balls. No,
belly big balls. That's your new gambling name, man.
Triple B, man. Like
I like that.
LeVar Ball,
Get him going.
LeVar Ball laid the blueprint. But yeah, I'm like the best bets. I just like looking for like a nice juicy number that I'm like, this makes sense. Like I feel like this, and when you look at the Vikings secondary, I thought it made a lot of sense. I wanted to alt it up to like 350, but I was like, let's just hit it here, and we did.
Yeah, I mean,
like this, I don't know what to think about the Vikings. I really don't.
That was going to be, so you took the Jet side, and it was a great one sentence, and me being the long-winded dumbass that I am, I just want to bitch for a sec.
Please.
Why can't the fucking Vikings just be consistently good?
Kirk Cousins.
Like, obviously they're 10-2 this year, but what I mean by bro, you got the Jets in the ropes. You're a really good football team. You got a great roster. You got a very dynamic offense. Put your foot on their throats. Choke them out. See you later, New York Jets. On to the next. Great win for the team. Instead, we come down to a fucking 4th down debacle that's a drop ball that saves our ass. Because to me, people be asking me who's the number 2 team who's the number 2 team. Shit, if this team played cleaner football, they could be 1A and 1B with the Eagles. Instead, they just like today's a prime example. Just let the Jets back into the game and fucking get lucky at the end.
Yeah,
it drives me nuts, man. The Vikings need to own who they are, which is one of the best teams in the league. But they don't play like that. They don't finish games like that.
They can't run the ball, and that's probably why they struggle to finish games. They really struggle to run the ball. So I think they get late in the games, and it's obvious running situations where you're just trying to nuke clock, and they get into 3rd and longs, and now it's Kirk Cousins under pressure trying to make one extra play, and that's kind of not the spot you want Kirk Cousins to be in. Another spot you don't want to be in is tying a division rival in week 13, which is what the Giants and Commanders did. And I found that to be a very fitting result in a game of 2 teams that I have no idea what to think of in terms of playoff aspirations, in terms of where, like, how do they factor into anything here? How do I take either of these 2 teams serious? And keep in mind, like, I like the Commanders. I had them to beat the Eagles a couple Monday nights ago, right? But I'm not banging my chest here about Taylor Heineke and the commies come playoff time.
One, I love how you called them the commies. It's great. It's great. called someone a commie recently. It was really exhilarating. I was really mad at them. But anyways, they're both a joke to me. Okay, they are. I know you like that. I know you like that. They're both a joke to me. I mean, yeah, one, potentially two, most likely one are going to make the playoffs. And because they both have tougher schedules, and they're going to go in and maybe they get lucky and get through the first round. Huge maybe, probably not. But either way, they're either going to get fucking slapped in the first round or they're going to get slapped in the second by somebody because they're just not that good. I'm sorry. I think the Commanders are better than the Giants, but not by much. Mainly because I think the Commanders, let me rephrase that. I don't know if they're better than the Giants, but the Giants don't really have a big time playmaker at wide receiver where Scary Terry is that fucking guy.
Yeah.
So it's like you can stay in and potentially go up when you have a receiver like Scary Terry. And I even think, is it Dotson? Am I saying that right?
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan is another guy. I know he's a youngster that can ball out. Where I look at this Giants team and I'm like, I mean, obviously they got Saquon, but after that, I think it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
Yeah. Like at least with Washington, you got the two fresh backs that you can kind of bring in throughout the game. Whereas with the Giants, if anything happens to Saquon, if there's any let up, if there's any regression,
Correct.
What do they do? I don't really know. I had Giants money line in a parlay that lost because of the fucking Dolphins, man. The fucking
that makes
Dolphins.
two of us. That makes two of us.
And it was like they
had the game won.
They did.
You had the game won.
They had the game won.
It really could have sent Commanders into the abyss. Like Commanders got a tough schedule coming up. Okay, you put that on them. They're not out of the playoff picture at the moment. They're still obviously in the hunt. They got a tough schedule.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, you guys are the wild card team. And said you fucked up. It was
pretty awesome. That kick got missed, the game-winning kick, and then the broadcast, like, it just kept panning to both sidelines, and both teams are just kind of like, oh yeah, like this, we tied. That's
really. I've never tied.
Did you have any?
Really
I was just about to say, did you have any?
Oh no, I did. Sorry, I wasn't there. I was injured.
No.
We tied the Cardinals in Arizona. Yeah, true.
There you go.
Would have been
Story time with Luke. What was the injury?
Don't know. Don't remember. Maybe concussion. Maybe not. Couldn't tell you.
Say if you can't remember.
Arizona was a weird place for us. Arizona was a very strange. I don't know if you're into the whole energy thing. Yep. Alec Reed. Final score was 6-6. How about that game? I think there were some missed field goals in that game as well, by both teams. So
some missed touchdowns.
Arizona,
too, apparently.
Yeah, when you get to, I think it used to be called the University of Phoenix Stadium. I'm not sure if that's still the name of it, but when you pull into that stadium, there's quite a long walk from where the buses drop the players off to where the locker room is. Nice stadium, like the locker rooms, even the whole setup with the family area, great. All that stuff, great. And I liked playing there because Arizona doesn't have a ton of fans, so we get a ton of Seahawk fans that would travel down there. But it got to the point later in my career where every fucking time we went there, it just felt very, very eerie. That was the Super Bowl we lost was on that field. It was also, in my opinion, the official end of the Seahawks era, if you will. Cliff Averill had a career-ending injury on that field. Not ending, but it was it. Cam Chancellor, that was when he hurt his neck on that field and never played again. Like, he had a 6-6 tie with overtime. Like, there's a lot of just weird fucking shit that happened to us on that field. So that being said, I did play my best game of all time on that field. So there's a little bit of good news in there.
Hey, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Eagles, Titans. We've already done a bit on it, but just give me a sense.
Eagles are they're starting to figure it out. I think they're starting to figure it out. They're obviously 11-1, but I think now they've realized like, hey, we got to lean into this pass game a little more as well. You got AJ Brown. I think they went for a stretch there, didn't use him as much. And today you had Smith and Brown go for over 100. To me, I don't know if I would start with that, but I would definitely get to those two guys sooner than what they've been doing.
Yeah.
That's
And
Hurts
is dynamic, and I think Hurts really showed it in the Colts game that he's got that level in him that of some mobile quarterbacks do, where it's when you got to have it, we can just use the legs. We can put everyone out. We can put him in shotgun by himself and just call a draw and just our QB power and just go and get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards if we really need it. So he scares me. He scares me a lot. Seahawks Rams. What's the ceiling for this Seahawks team? Win a playoff game?
For sure.
Yeah.
The issue is the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, this offense, this is at least talked about offense in the NFL that should be talked about. Geno Smith though for what? 330 today? Was that it?
Pulling it up right.
What's the numbers, baby?
367.
367. He had a pick, and the pick was a completed pass that Bobby Wagner ripped out.
Yeah.
This offense can cook now, but unfortunately, the Rams always play us tough. No matter who, you could put legitimately 7th grade peewee football players in Rams jerseys, and they will play us tough. Jeff Fisher, man. Every time, man, we're 13-3. We're 13-3, and we're playing the Rams. It's a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. We're like, God damn, bro. Austin Davis, my homie, he's the homie. He was our backup. I think he beat us one year with the Rams like 14-13. Every fucking time he went down to St. Louis, it was like, here we go. It's going to be a shit show today. Greg Williams was calling defenses back then. Only God knows what he was dialing up. Had us all in a blender. A tough game. We got it done. We're back in the playoff line.
St. Louis, good football town. They showed up and showed out for the St. Louis Battlehawks of the XFL, and it was just they had that place rocking. So St. Louis must really like football.
Great sports town.
It seems unfortunate that they lost the team. Like, I don't think LA gives a fuck about one football team, let alone the two that they have.
Correct.
Right? It's like it would have been sweet if the Rams brought a Super Bowl back home to St. Louis last year. Instead, it was Matt Stafford pushing a photographer off a crane or whatever happened there.
I'll tell you what LA would have liked better if they brought the Raiders back.
Yeah, they brought the wrong team. They brought two and didn't even bring 100%.
The right. Like, they needed to go bring the Raiders back and then if they're going to move the Rams, make it the Las Vegas Rams. That would have been the smart play.
That would have been, but oh well. It's a real I would ask for your opinion on Niners Dolphins, but it's a shame. I just checked, the game got canceled. It never happened, and everyone that bet on the Dolphins today got all their money back. So we're moving on from that. Bengals Chiefs, we've already kind of touched on it, so we can breeze through that. Raiders Chargers. The Chargers lost to the Raiders.
That's called fucking up.
Yeah,
like there were times in the league,
the Chargers.
Yeah, there were numerous times in the league, specifically the year we went 9-7 and missed the playoffs, and there were numerous times. This is my 5th year in Seattle, where we would lose a game, and I would sit back it, and you'd look at the schedules, and you'd look at the standings, and you just think to yourself, "We just fucked up." Big bad. Like, we should not have lost that game. And this was one today where I know it's a division game, and I think the Raiders are starting to figure it out and maybe playing a little more like the team that we thought they should play like. But the Chargers are in the playoff hunt. It's a divisional opponent, a team you know well. Keenan Allen's playing. Win the game. Beat the Raiders. And you threw a pick six. And you threw not the Chargers. The Raiders threw a pick six to Bryce Callahan, the pride and joy of Rice University. Shout out Bryce Callahan, baby.
Shout out Rice. Shout out Rice.
You
Honestly,
gotta
I
win
would
that
need to lean on you for everything in terms of takeaways from that game, because there were just too much. There were two way more important football games on at the time for me to be paying attention to that.
Yeah,
Frankly,
let's just say you want to watch how not to win games, just turn that game on. That's a good lesson, how not to win.
and I feel like, because we're running a little long at this point, I feel like how not to win games is something you and I should chat about in an episode either next week or a little bit down the line, because as someone who sits at home and watches football games and has never played, I often find myself questioning and wondering, why is this NFL head coach who's getting paid millions of dollars to coach this team not know the shit that I know, and I'm sitting on my couch?
Can you hear someone yelling right now?
Yeah, what's going on?
Something's going on outside my window. I don't know. There might be a fight going on.
We
My
might need to
mic's picking
investigate.
it up.
Yeah, we might need
Yeah,
to.
don't worry. Don't worry.
Hold on, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you live on the Venice boardwalk. But anyway, so I was a little distracted. You want to talk about? It's true. I mean, it's the boardwalk's undefeated. I will tell you that. There's no undefeated teams in the NFL. But if you come to Los Angeles and you dare walk on the Venice boardwalk, just know that this boardwalk is undefeated. And I don't mean that in a good way.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it. Yeah.
How about
we're gonna have to talk about it?
How about we shut this? We'll talk about it. I think that we need to get you back on the right vibes. So you're gonna bet the single tomorrow. We'll talk about how to lose games, but tomorrow we're gonna talk about how to win bets and crack FanDuel Canada, because I don't care what the people say. I don't care what the haters say. The single is locked in, and I'm cooking up a double, and I'm gonna call it Big Balls Belly Double. It's for you, my guy. It's for you, the absolute GOAT. And I'm cooking one up tonight just for you.
Well, you're going to have to find us on Twitter. You're going to have to find us on Spotify. You're going to have to find us wherever you want to find us, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff. All time with Luke Willson. You're going to find the single. You can find the Big Belly Balls Double. Something tells me Luke might even cook up a home run for Monday Night Football, because he can get a little carried away from time to time with the parlays. But I want to thank everyone for joining us and giving us your time. It's always appreciated. For Luke Willson and myself, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.